HD from Untitled Track magazine, and here today again we got the one and only Instrumentool. Say what's up to the people. Say what's up to the people with Instrumentool.
What's going on? What's up?
All right, that's all well and good. You hear him. Here's a question. You know, this is gonna be another in your opinion. You know, we had him in the last one. We got to get his opinion again. Instrumentool as probably one of the hottest producers here in Tampa. You know, and we heard your flow, we heard your rhyming skills, so we know you can do that too. Hey, this man's a man of many talents. We're not even gonna get into that. What we're gonna get into is, as him starting to run his own record label or beginning to build a record label. The question I want to ask you is just Instrumentool. Seeing the lack of record sales now. You seeing their music industry is it's not as, let's say, as what's the word? I mean, it's not you don't see as much money coming from music. Coming to artists from music these days. Now it seems to be more corporate endorsements and things like that. You know, you think Jay-Z with Reebok, you think Ludacris had with Pepsi, and then the whole thing with the Bill O'Reilly and all that nonsense. And then now recently we're dealing with we were talking about Rick Ross and his thing with Reebok and the whole thing with some of his lyrics. And so and then the details with that. So the question is this: understanding all this to be the case, would it be best for an artist to go independent, or for him to, him to get signed? Because it seems like you said, you don't seem like I guess it's also a question of art versus product. We always had that discussion many of times, but now here it is now. So you're talking. So once the artist gets signed, then he's become more product than art, and so now his art is seen to be restricted because he's dealing with all these corporate endorsements. So you can't say certain things and you can't do certain things. And so the thing is now, if you got an upcoming artist, an MC who's trying to figure out if he should stay independent or he should get signed, what would be the pros and the cons to both? To either him being signed versus him going independent.
All right. Well, number one, we'll start with the mainstream corporate end. The pros of that one is number one, the marketing and advertising.
Right.
You can get from being behind that machine is the money in that is unlimited, and everybody in the world can know who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. And that also ties into how many people can get your records, because you got the record chain stores.
Right.
People do still buy CDs, so people all over the country and the world can still get your stuff. Basically, yeah. How I look at it too, it's like a big the mainstream side of it is like a bank. It's like if you need the money, and they have it for videos, tour support, paying out your royalties to the producers before that album comes out, just all of that stuff, and also paying for your your lives while you're on tour, or even in between, your single, your album. If you get signed and before your album come out, it might be 2 years, a year and a half.
Right.
So what you doing in between that? You got an advance for that. Now, the bad thing that I think about that is what comes with that is if these people are putting in hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, of course there's going to be some guidelines. And there's going to be plenty of them.
The strings attached, huh?
You have to dress this certain way. You have to make these certain type of songs. It needs to be delivered at this time. If it's not, then all this type of stuff is gonna happen. So for me personally, it's a lot more cons to it, but it can go either way. You can have somebody that can sign and they can come out the gate with 50 million.
Sure.
You know, Tony Braxton did 10 million out the gate, and you're straight.
Right.
But you might be somebody like, say, like a Jay-Z, who slowly but surely built it. You know what I'm saying? And build the empire. So especially now, it's harder to build it because there's so much cookie cutting going on, and then you got the structure of it. That's a one-way street.
Right. But okay. So we got that going with the corporate.
Right.
Now, in the independent side, like you said, I mean, you got to deal with you see the record company more as a bank, and most of the money they're giving is more of a loan than it is money going into your pocket.
Right.
Because, like you say, they don't mean people are not going to invest in anything if they don't see no money coming in themselves. So, if you was an independent, what would an independent need to stay independent for him not to sit there and say, okay, the money's not coming in like I want to. I'm looking at this guy. This guy ain't got nothing on me, and hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna call it like I see it. You know what I mean? If you're mad, sign them C's. If you're mad, go get your flow better. Get a better flow. All right, don't get mad at me. Get mad at yourself. All right. So even with all that being said, what about the independent artist, the independent record label? Where are the pros? Where do you see the pros in the independent? Because we can see a lot of cons, and one of the big cons is the resources.
Right.
That's a huge con. You know what I mean? And you're looking like, okay, man, I ain't got the money to sit here and pay for all this, but you still, in my opinion, and like I said, I'm just the editor-in-chief of a magazine. I'm not an artist. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it'll be more. The independence would be better for the art. The art side of your music than the product side.
Right.
And so I guess the question I would ask is that if you had a choice, where would you go? Would you go more with the art side and okay, I can still say what I want to say and I can make some money out of it. And you can make a lot. It could be possible, but is it likely? Or would you go with the product side where you see that you're making a lot of money, but it's not really your money? It's like it's like a more of a loan that you have all the money in your pocket, all the money in your hand at one time.
All right, I'm gonna put this scenario.
All right, go ahead.
All right, I have my own studio.
Right.
I have all my own equipment, programs, and all of that stuff. Right.
Right.
Okay, I make a beat. Let's say I sell it for $100. That's 100% of what I produce. Right?
True.
I don't have to pay no label.
Right.
I don't have to pay no studio fees. I don't have to pay, a publisher or just all this other stuff that maybe like a sound artist would have to pay for. Whether it being, you got your lawyers, attorneys, you got the marketing and ad, though they have to get their cuts. It's so much stuff going on. So me versus me getting $100 over here versus getting the same $100 and being on the corporate side is a whole different ballgame. The percentages alone, I would lean more towards being independent because you might not get as much. Yeah, Lil Wayne is one of the richest entertainers in the world.
Right.
But if you really think about the percentage of money that he generates towards what is in his bank account is just, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, they're rich as hell.
Right.
They are rich as hell. Jay-Z, he can sign this Rock Nation to whatever label for 250 mil. So these people are willing to give you 250 mil. How much do you really think they are worth or what they have?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Huh. Now, I feel you. I mean, so which would be more valuable in a sense? Would it be the amount of money or the amount of percentage?
That would be all on who the artist is. It depends on what their wants and needs are. If they're fine with having the corporate backing, which like a lot of the older MCs like a Nas or somebody in Wu-Tang, like they came up in that structure.
Right.
So some of those guys wouldn't want to waver away from that.
Right.
Like, could you really imagine Jay-Z being independent?
Even
if he wanted to, he can do it. He's got the name to do it.
Right.
But realistically, he'll probably have the machine behind him.
Right. All right. That's real. That's real.
And then you got the pros for the independent side. Obviously, you have more control, percentage wise. If you got something hot and you got a name for yourself, I mean, I'll take 100,000 off of music,
right,
and get 100% of 100,000 a year instead of me getting 100,000. And I know this white suit in the office that made $5 million.
Yeah,
it just come down to that. What are your wants? What are your needs? What do you want? Where you want to be at? Where do you see yourself? And you just have to balance that. As simple as that. Because you could tell an artist to go independent all day long. No, don't. But it might not fit for what he want to do. And the other way around, man. The only way it goes, man, is mainstream, man. You got to sign that contract. But shoot, he might not make that music or might not want to be restricted like that. So it's up to the artist. It's up to whatever they want to do at the end of the day.
Restriction. Well, here's a question. What are your thoughts about the corporate sponsorships? The endorsements, the Reeboks, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, do you feel like the artist is getting a reasonable cut? I guess a reasonable percentage, a reasonable cut from being endorsed by, a Reebok or a LRG or something like that.
Any endorsement is good because you attach your name to a brand, a bigger brand. But still, it's with the dollars that they throw out, there's so many different restrictions, which kind of contradicts itself. I mean, you got to look at rap, hip hop. It was created because we didn't want no restrictions.
Right.
That's the whole basis of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it.
Right.
So now you have a business saying, hey, you have a big name. We know you're generating X amount of dollars, and we want to connect with you. But now since you connected, these are certain stipulations you have to run by. And that can definitely contradict with what if I'm rapping about oranges, and then I have an apple juice company who want to sign me, you think that's gonna work? It ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to start rapping by apples, which could kill my fan base. It's more cons than pros on both ends for the artist because you have an artist that might have built a certain type of sound or have a fan base, and then this company comes in and what they represent doesn't represent what that fan base does.
Right.
You already lost right there. You already lost. So and then you also got a rapper that was like, well, I got an endorsement. They're not finna turn no money down like that. You know what I'm saying? Because now you have a chance to get your name out there more, but it's the restriction that come along with it.
Well, what would be? I because I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm totally agreeing with you, 100%.
The best way, what I think you're getting at, the best way for it to work is, number one, if the company wants to come in to endorse a certain artist, they have to understand what they represent already. And also, not necessarily the artist. Just on the basis of it being hip hop. Hip hop it could be one thing today and it could be another thing tomorrow.
Right.
The same thing that we talking about next week might not be popular.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So they have to understand that. And the same thing with the artist. I mean, you just gotta. That's what it really comes down to. You just gotta understand the differences, and things can change on the fly, like that. And come on, you gonna sign a rapper that Aquafina water can sign whatever rapper that, but he don't drink no damn water. This nigga drink liquor all night, party, mollies, weed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they have to understand what they getting themselves into.
Right.
If you got a rapper that type of entertainment side and everything it entails.
I feel you. I mean, so is it? The corporate side is always going to be the machine. You know what I mean? It's built on systems. You know what I mean? And it works for them. Good for them. All right. I think it hurts more than it helps the people, but doesn't mean my personal opinion is my personal opinion. You can have your own personal opinion. That's all well and good. I'm not talking to you, Instrumentool. I'm talking to the people who are listening. The people who are listening right now, and that's all well and good. But so do you really? The way I'm hearing it right now, does it seem like it's more of a choice of the lesser of two evils? Like, okay, you still gonna have cons on both sides. So which cons that I'm willing to deal with, and which cons I'm not willing to deal with.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
That's what it comes down to. Reebok signed Ross. You got to know what Ross talks about. It ain't like he just came out today. Ross' first album dropped like 05, 06 maybe. So he got and then all the time that he was writing with Slip and Slide, so he been in the game for a while.
Right.
So they know what he about. Just don't try to act stupid.
It's Bill O'Reilly and with Ludacris again. You know what I mean? It's just funny that it just takes one person to rattle a cage, just barely touch the cage, and all of a sudden they're willing to just cut the person loose because they're the machine.
It's the control.
Right.
It's all control, because they know at the end of the day, it ain't even got nothing to do with money at all. I understand these people don't want to lose money,
right?
But it's a control thing, because if they let one do it, that's the end of them.
True enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all, folks. That Instrumentool that just sat there and told y'all what it is. I agree. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, no, I agree. I agree. Like I said, I'm not an artist, so I'm not going to sit here and try to say I know which way is better. But I'm thinking more leaning to well, obviously because it's the underground independent hip hop magazine, you know which way I'm leaning. So we'll leave it at that, okay? I'm not finna. But I can see the best of both worlds and the worst. And the evils that comes with it. So it is what it is. Anyways, this is HD. That's all I got to say. Instrumentool, anything you got to say to the people before we
DITCMG
Heard that.
That's it.
You heard them. You know what it is. So let's make that happen. All right. So like we said again, and we're gonna do it one more time. We go ahead. We're gonna pause this. All right. So pause.